Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Global Speedrun Association. We have for you the very first match of the round 2 winners bracket here for this Super Mario Odyssey any percent tournament brought to you by Vi.gg. If you are looking to place your bets, you can do it with our sponsor, Vi.gg. There is a banner underneath the stream. You can also type !bet to find more information. We have a very exciting day ahead of us, a nice Friday for speedrunning. We're going to be starting out here with LilAggy versus Dansta. A very exciting matchup, very, very close on the leaderboards, very solid competitors. Joining me on commentary today is Robin Cyrex. How are you doing, Robin?
Hey, I'm doing good. Good. Thanks for asking. How about you?
I'm doing so well, thanks. It's a very nice Friday, considering it is the very last day of November. It's usually very cold here, but it's been holding up. So I'm enjoying the day so far. Where are you from, Robin?
I'm from Germany.
Germany, and I imagine it's probably quite like Canada in the sense that it's getting colder out there.
Yeah, it's cold. Not that cold though. It's like 0 degrees.
0 degrees, yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds about the same. But it looks like we do not have any time for some pre-race interviews today because we have quite the day ahead of us. So these guys are queuing up and getting ready right away here.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to be ready to go as soon as possible. I am very much looking forward to this race. As soon as I saw this matchup happen, I knew it was going to be a very tight one. So I cannot wait to see how this one plays out. LilAggy, a very good friend of mine. We've kind of gone back. I've known him since he was basically a 108 kind of runner, very early in his running career. Dansta, a little less familiar with, but still know quite a fair deal about his running capabilities and his skill. He definitely has some very tight movement and perhaps not the most consistent runner, but definitely one of the riskier kinds of like players. So we'll have to see how that plays into this. Now, Robin, do you have any predictions for this upcoming race? Perhaps not. All right, we're going to be coming out of Cap Kingdom here. Now, Dansta actually holds the world record for the individual level time of Cap Kingdom. Of course, doing all of the hardest strats are going to be probably a little bit too risky for a race situation, but we do see him already kind of pulling out ahead here, pulling the lever, going into the first person. We might see him do some sort of spin buffer strategies here. Indeed, yeah.
He's a Cap legend.
He's a Cap legend. He definitely doesn't hold back on any of these strats. Already taking about a second advantage over Aggie out of the gate here. You can see him trying to go for the strategy where you roll boost off the surface of the water. The timing for that is extremely tricky. Didn't actually end up getting it there, but he's going to be maintaining his lead as we get through here, through this frog vectoring section. Jumping up the short way, which is actually just slightly more optimal, and then going through the door. And we're going to see both of these runners attempting left side now. Dansta's triple jump looks good. Aggie's as well. Making the wall jump. Dansta's going to be over the rail, and LilAggy right behind him. Still about 1 second apart, and we're probably going to see both of these runners attempt to do the early topper strategy. Dansta nails it just fine. Aggie taking it a little bit safer and opting for the just regular cap throw method. So he's going to be about 2 seconds behind coming out of Cap Kingdom, but still very tight race so far.
That's like a 222 cap from Dansta and 225 or 4 from LilAggy. So yeah, those are like 2 to 3 seconds, which is fine.
Yeah, those are the kinds of Cap Kingdoms you do like to see, for sure. Honestly, in a race, anything below a 230 is probably a good bet, just because, you know, anything can still happen. probably not going to be going for absolutely everything in a race situation. We actually see Dansta taking a weird dive towards that platform there and having to reset up his FMS. But he is still going to be coming out just a tiny bit ahead of Aggie going into this portion. Both of them getting FMS nicely before capturing this Dino and performing Dino Skip here. Alright, and the setup looks good for both of them, making the dive and entering the boss fight.
Both having a quick first capture.
Yeah, it looks like despite the issues that Dansta had setting up his FMS on that little platform, he is still maintaining about a 2-second lead here.
Yeah. That just shows how good his cap team was. Like,
Yes.
LilAggy had no mistakes, but he was still like 2 seconds ahead or so.
Yeah, Aggie's Cascade looking slightly cleaner. Dansta having a little bit of issues grabbing the Power Moon there, but LilAggy able to grab it a little bit faster, closing the gap just a tiny bit. You'll probably see this kind of bounce back and forth as these guys, you know, kind of just gain a little bit of time doing one thing over another. So, like I said, I think we're in for a very exciting race and should be close all the way through. So now that they are done with the Madame Brutal fight, they're going to be grabbing 2 quick moons before they leave the kingdom. This first one being above a high cliff. Dansta actually taking a little bit of a misstep, trying to do the triple jump up to this rock here. So LilAggy is actually going to be pulling into the lead. Now they're going to be setting up the chest clip. Aggie's got a very solid, quick setup. Dansta right behind. Both of them performing the clip beautifully, and they're going to be exiting Cascade Kingdom and into Sand now. So very close race still, but the tides have changed in Aggie's favor. Yeah, so now that we're going into Sand Kingdom, this is where things can really kind of spice up a little bit. So we're going to be seeing some kind of technical tricks in here. Sand Kingdom, I think, is a little bit easier nowadays than to feel before. Sand Kingdom was one of the kind of scarier kingdoms because it was one of the more technical ones, but now people have kind of had time to get used to it. There's not really anything you have to worry about anymore with Sand Kingdom.
So LilAggy got fast action head skip, Dansta didn't. That just saved another second.
Yes, indeed. Just these tiny little things. Fast action guide. I don't think any of us really understand what makes it work and what doesn't.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't, and that's just a free second that sometimes you can have. LilAggy taking advantage of that, of course. Actually taking a bonk on the building, but getting saved by the hero flower pot. My favorite flower pot, by the way. Definitely have made that mistake before in the past, but just that bonk alone is enough to give Dansta the lead as we enter this room here. And these guys are going to be coming out of here. Now, they're both playing on 1.0. That's what makes FMS possible. So we won't be seeing them going for any bird-grabbing strategies here. They're just going to be coming up the dune and getting this ground pound moon at the top. If you were playing on 1.2, you would be trying your best to capture the bird that is flying overhead. As you approach this dune, or you could wait before you enter the pipe in order to nab it in town, but these guys don't have to worry about that. They will be setting up a meet-up with the bird later on. LilAggy having a little bit of difficulty jumping up this ice pillar. Gonna have to back it up. Dansta is going to be setting up Dram now. Jumping on the wall. Getting up to the top just fine. He's going to be throwing his hat up in the air like this, diving into this alcove, and if he's timed his shake right on his controller, he will be capture warping up to the top. So Dram strat looks good for Dansta. Let's see if LilAggy can follow suit. And he's got it as well. So that's, again, a very, very solid trick. And, these guys don't want to lose time on something like this. And now rolling over the dunes, gathering this next moon, this lost in the luggage, and now they're going to be setting up for a Sphinx clip. Dansta gets the first clip on the second try there.
Oh, he's actually going for a double clip. We don't see that often. Even high runners mostly do single clip, as it's way easier and only like 2 seconds taller.
Yeah, single clip. The idea here is that if you do double clip, it's faster if you can manage to get the clips on the first try, but you put yourself at risk for ruining the bird cycle that we were talking about earlier. If you arrive at the oasis too late, the bird will have passed by and you will be missing a power moon. So very important that if you do the double clip, that you get your second clip in time to make it work, make it happen. Otherwise, you will be in pretty severe trouble and have to back it up some very slow way. But it did look like Dansta was able to get his second clip on maybe the second try, so not going to be putting himself into too much trouble here, and he does have a very commanding lead as a result of choosing this trick.
Yeah, he had a clean set so far. Almost no mistakes, except for that first try Sphinx clip.
Yeah, LilAggy did take quite a few more tries, but he did opt for the single clip. So I would say that neither of them really gained or lost any time doing that method. And you can see that the bird is precariously flying by Dansta as he approaches this oasis. So had he spent any more time trying to do that clip, he might have actually missed the bird. So luckily, not going to be causing himself any issues here.
Okay, getting good notes. Not optimal, but really good.
Yeah, looked really fast. There is a way to get the notes with only one cap throw. It's very, very tricky to do. You have to kind of maneuver Mario in a way that feels a little bit unnatural, but it can be done. Dansta still managing to grab the notes in a fast manner. LilAggy right behind, but he has kind of widened the gap as we leave Sand Kingdom, probably just due to some cleaner execution. Also, LilAggy taking a bonk in town earlier, as well as taking a couple extra Sphinx clip tries, so he will be trailing as we leave Sand Kingdom here. Looking at about 15 seconds of difference.
And he had a few mistakes going up the archway.
Yes, that's right, too. I do remember. Now, we probably won't see either of these guys go for late clip. Again, it is a very new kind of idea for the any % route. Not one that many people take lightly. It doesn't save as much time as you might give it credit for, I think. So if you're going to be going for it, it's because you're extremely confident that you can use it to save time. But the original route for this kingdom is to just beat Rango instead. So Dansta comes out of Lake Kingdom already kind of fumbling as he rolls up the Odyssey ramp, takes a bonk. He's going to be setting up a roll boost here into the cap to vault up the wall.
I personally hate this beginning of lake because I sometimes just get the wrong angle when you go to the first power moon.
Sometimes your cap throw comes out at the wrong angle, sometimes your roll comes out at the wrong angle. It can be kind of frustrating to deal with. Dansta recovering from that bonk though rather well. Obviously not going to be setting up any late clip ideas. LilAggy will probably see follow suit, just going around the corner, yep. Now there is a way to manipulate the camera in that initial portion so that you can line up this cheap that Aggie just captured in a way that it is sitting directly in front of the moon rather than kind of off to the side, like you saw there. Kind of risky, in my opinion, because it kind of makes the part after the first moon a little bit more difficult to see the Goombas and stuff, and they are RNG, so they can get in your way very easily there. Saves about a second if you do that trick, though. And we see Dansta is in the Rango fight here. Timing his ground pounds beautifully, and he's also going for the nice little spin throw method to capture all the coins at the end. Very, very stylish. Let's see if LilAggy can follow suit here. opting just for the single throw to stall himself in the air. Not going to be losing himself any time, but he will be down a little bit of coins. Not a big deal if you are making a visit to the Sphinx Room.
When you're playing on 1.2, you're always short on coins. You need to go get turns everywhere possible.
Yeah, 1.2 does not optimally visit the Sphinx Room because there's no way to clip into it. You have to do the quiz, and you have to make the Sphinx move to the side and then enter the hole. So no real optimal way to do that in 1.2, meaning that you do have to kind of collect coins and be more preservative of them along the way. Not going to be a problem for either of these guys, though.
Yeah. Lake is usually not that exciting, as there isn't really something you can mess up. But Wooded is very exciting, especially because of the out-of-bounds movement and the clip by itself, which will come up soon.
Yeah, I find that Wooded Kingdom is kind of a scary place to be. Making any mistakes in this kingdom usually results in falling down somewhere. So Dansta is going to be starting Wooded Kingdom by grabbing a rock nearby and throwing it into another rock. Meanwhile, stopping a bunny in its tracks, spawning 2 very quick moons before visiting the shop. This is the first reason that we collect coins, because there is a shop moon here directly in our way. It's outside, just kind of out in the open, so not a big deal to just stop by and visit the shop.
Yeah, luckily there is no loading zone, as there is in most of the kingdoms. So...
Exactly, yeah. One of the few kingdoms that has the shop outside. Now, Dansta climbing the waterfall, taking a bonk, in fact, having to set up this jump again. Going to be doing that okay. Coming around the corner, and this is where the nut clip happens. So we're going to see him take a backflip, get up here, set himself up. The setup looks good. His height looks fine, and he is through the wall. Now we're going to see LilAggy do the same. Now, Dansta has to go through a series of very complex, out-of-bounds movements.
Oh, no. Oh,
okay, so he saved it. He was able to get back into the little alcove there. That doesn't always work out in your favor. LilAggy also getting the nut clip. He's going to be coming up into this out-of-bounds movement. If he is able to pull this off a little bit cleaner, which he is, he's going to be saving some time on Dansta. Dansta actually taking a wall jump after the ramp and not being able to get up to the top. So this is a very close race now indeed. Dansta up at the top of the ramp. LilAggy setting up his jump, the wall jump, and he's up the ramp too. So now all of a sudden this is a very tight race.
Yeah, Dansta's always having a bit of problems with that ramp. It can be really frustrating. Sometimes you just randomly get a wall jump off the wall, and you can't just do another cap jump.
Yeah, that was one of the big problems that I had when I started doing that trick as well. If you kind of jump one extra time, sometimes you get a wall jump. And one kind of factor of this game is that if you get a wall jump, you cannot do a cap bounce afterwards, so you will end up having to fall and redo the ramp section again.
Oh, Dansta missing the poison hack, as it is called, basically works that you buffer a jump and a specific spot, and for whatever reason you just don't take damage. Dansta missing that, LilAggy performing it well. Oh, yeah.
And suddenly we are only a second or two apart from each other. LilAggy having a textbook Wooded Kingdom so far. No real mistakes to speak of. Dansta a little bit shaky, going through the out-of-bounds movement as well as just some general movement as well. He did have to kind of sit through a re-heal animation with the nut at the dead end. So that's all going to cost him time. These guys are going to be both performing Flower Road skip perfectly here. Taking a triple jump and a dive up here. Usually we see a spin pound. That's what we're going to see from both of these guys. And then into the tower. And LilAggy having just a little bit of trouble getting up the wall. Taking a wall jump for safety, not opting to dive and bonk potentially. We're going to be grabbing 2 very quick moons in the tower, and then we're probably going to see both of these runners go for the Spiritless route. Essentially, they're going to be hopping off the top of the tower and down into the kind of lower portion of Wooded Kingdom. See Dansta setting it up here with a roll boost. Sometimes you can use this robot to buffer your jump and not take any kind of residual falling animations to slow you down. Going to be busting open this nut around the bend and then coming back and finishing up the pipeway section that everybody knows in the Wooded Kingdom is always a fun one.
Wow, Dansta taking a bomb, which makes it even closer.
Their movement was both very, very clean coming through this latter portion of Wooded. So this pipeway section, very infamous for being kind of a nasty place for inputs to get eaten. You kind of have to make your way through here really quickly, set yourself up for a cap bounce, and both of them getting that moon extremely nicely. So we're going to be warping back to the Odyssey. And again, this race is all of a sudden extremely close. So Dansta having much cleaner Sand Kingdom, but LilAggy coming back with a fine Wooded Kingdom of his own. I would be surprised if he was any more than maybe 2 or 3 seconds off of his best pace in Wooded Kingdom there. Very solid kingdom. And now we get to take a bit of a breather, because upcoming is Cloud Kingdom, our first encounter with Bowser. And as speedrunners, we've kind of manipulated this fight in a way that makes it extremely easy. That being said, sometimes things can still go wrong. The second phase in particular likes to troll us a little bit. Sometimes you can do what you think is exactly what you need to do, and things can still go wrong and lose you a couple seconds, but more or less down to muscle memory this kingdom, I think.
Exactly. So I just looked it up. LilAggy is really like a few seconds off his PB. So yeah, I think it's a good win for him.
Certainly. These guys have very, very similar PBs. I think they're both in the 102 range. I think Dansta's
yes.
slightly ahead. He got a low 102, like a 102.1x recently. I think LilAggy just got a 102.4x.
Yeah, he's ahead by 29 seconds.
Gotcha. So on paper, Dansta does have a little bit of an advantage, I would say, but I would also argue that LilAggy might be just a touch more consistent when it comes to pulling off certain things. Dansta goes for some of the more tricky and technical movements, which can cost him some time sometimes.
Yeah.
So really, this could go either way. Both of these runners having absolutely no problems in the Cloud Kingdom. Doesn't look like any time was gained or lost by either of them. But now we approach Lost Kingdom.
Dansta is like 30 seconds behind his PB.
All right. Meme tree jump looking just fine. LilAggy opting for the lower ledge there just to play it safe. We're going to be setting up a ground pound here to grab this first moon. We're going to see them hop up this ledge and to this butterfly. Capturing the butterfly and grabbing the moon from there. Now, the scary thing about Lost Kingdom, of course, is this purple poison that surrounds the entire kingdom. This giant wave of purple goop. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it's very scary. If you touch it, it is an instant death, and we don't like to see that. It sends you right back to the Odyssey, so huge time losses available here if you make a big mistake.
Yeah, and there is a weird glitch, which just doesn't give you your cap bounce back after a buffer double jump or so, I think. That can kill you at the bird sometimes. Yeah, that happened to me sometimes. This is really frustrating.
Yeah, I don't like to see that, but these guys, looks like they're gonna be okay. The kingdom here. Setting up the cage triple now. Ooh, Dansta actually opting for the safe strategy here, going into the stone cage. LilAggy going for the triple jump and getting it on the top of the tree here. He's going to be setting up a ground pound, and that was actually a very wonderful comparison of just how fast that triple cage jump is compared to that stone cage method. It did look like Dansta had a little bit of a cleaner exit from the bridge, and it's going to be globing first, but definitely gave Aggie an opportunity to make some time up there with a perfect cage triple execution.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of sloppy movement afterwards.
Yeah, Dansta missed the ground pound on the thing. I don't know how it's called, but he lost a bit of time for that.
But this race is extremely close. We are within a second of each other now.
Yeah.
Now, Metro Kingdom is another one where things can just kind of... I find it's one of those kingdoms where the time save or the time loss just kind of accrues over time. You just messed up maybe a second here, 2 seconds there, and then by the end of the kingdom, you're like, wow, where did all that time go? It's not necessarily a kingdom where big mistakes generally happen. Of course, you know, Night Metro, you can fall off City Hall, and that's a big one, or you can die to the Wiggler fight. Those are some big mistakes that could happen. Yeah, exactly. You could get a 3 cycle. Those are some big time losses, but usually you don't kind of see that stuff at this level. It's more the kind of overarching little time losses that add up in a kingdom like this. And I think that's kind of the story about a lot of the later kingdoms.
Yeah, especially dying the neck. We don't really see that. Oh, Dansta missing the Goomba jump.
Actually hitting the Goomba right in the face instead of bouncing on top of it and falling all the way down. LilAggy nailing that Goomba jump, and he's going to be taking the lead going into City Hall now. Dansta probably wants to grab the checkpoint. No, he's going to pass right by it. He doesn't care. He's going to be going into City Hall, so that actually means that he's also going to lose a little bit of time from the healing animation associated with the moon coming up.
He also didn't do that fast of a backup. You can stand on the taxi, which is right nearby, and jump up. But he took the stairs, which are really slow, I think.
I would agree, yeah. This is definitely a way to kind of backflip up to the top of the building instead of going up the stairs. A little bit of a more casual approach, but also a safer one. So, just landing on the railing there. That was extremely, extremely risky, but it paid off for him here. He's going to be roll boosting around the corner and entering this Mecha Wiggler fight now that LilAggy is approaching. This first phase is always going to be the same. The idea is to capture a Sherm and blow up the orbs as fast as you possibly can. And the movement afterwards is always going to be the same. You kind of stand in the corner to make the path of the Wiggler as short as possible. But it's the second phase where things can become a little bit more daunting.
Yeah, because it's RNG, it can be really frustrating. There are 1 or 2 patterns which are really bad. Like where he moves in himself, and you can't really hit him because you always hit the wrong bubble because they're overlapping each other.
Yeah.
As we can see here in LilAggy's fights, you can't hit the bubbles and getting a 3 cycle.
That's exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So Dansta probably getting a 2 cycle. Yeah. Not the cleanest, but at least a 2 cycle. Saving like 30 seconds or so for LilAggy.
Yeah, I am a firm believer that just about any cycle this Wiggler gives you can be 2 cycled, but when you get one like Aggie got where you cross over towards the end, the hitboxes start to kind of conflict with each other, and that causes major problems. And we saw it mess up Aggie here today. Unfortunately, he's going to be falling behind as a result. He enjoyed a little bit of a lead there for a moment, but Dansta is able to pull ahead now. So, of course, Commentators Curse coming into play. I say things like, don't really have very many big time losses in Metro Kingdom, but then LilAggy goes ahead and nails himself a 3 cycle. A very unfortunate situation.
Yeah, we literally just talked about that pattern.
And there it happens, and I don't think we've seen this yet in this tournament, so definitely gonna be blaming myself for that one for a long time to come. Now, upcoming here is a neat little trick called the scooter clip. Dansta setting himself up against the cage, and then he's just going to nudge Mario's big nose into the side of the cage there just to make the hitboxes overlap in a way that grabs the moon without having to RC car in. We'll see if Aggie can follow suit. going for the drive-by method and nailing it perfectly. So he's going to be saving a little bit of time over Dansta here. And like I said, Metro Kingdom is one of those ones where the time saves really do add up just kind of accumulatively over the course of the kingdom. So if LilAggy is able to play a little bit cleaner, he's going to be making up some time.
He got that capture walk really closely. Cappy was already on the pole. That was really close.
Yes, that's about as close as you can get it, essentially within pixels or within frames, my bad. Now, I'm going to be grabbing this moon inside the girder, and then hopping out of the girder again and going to talk to Pauline. And we're going to gather a couple of musicians, but not all of them, just a couple.
There is an alternative for this, which saves like 2 seconds, but nobody goes for it.
Yeah, it involves a tricky sub-area, which we call bullet building. And the reason that it doesn't get used in runs very much is because it has to be done optimally in order to save time, and doing it optimally is not an easy feat at all.
There is a really hard jump in it, which needs a really good vector. And if you mess that up, you die.
Yes, exactly. So not only does it require a very scary vector jump, but also an up throw into an instant capture for a bullet bill, which, you know, if you miss that as well, you also die. So very scary place to be. Not worth it in runs as of now, but, you know, as we kind of inch our way closer to sub-hour territory, we might see some runners start to go for it, but it's just kind of off the radar for a lot of runners so far. Now, LilAggy taking a little bit of a bonk on the way over to the bassist, so he's going to be losing just a couple of moments there, but getting a nice roll cancel around the corner, maintaining his speed so that he can make the triple jump over to this dumpster. And Dansta is going to be climbing up City Hall and getting this dizzying heights moon. And see if he can set himself up for a spin pound on top of City Hall.
It looks like he can do it, but I think he doesn't go for it in general.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Opting for the safe strat here.
Getting that dive from the railing. Okay, LilAggy's getting that spin pound we were talking about.
Very nice. Setting himself up also for the dive onto the railing. The bullseye.
Yeah. He got it first try, saving another second or so over Dansta.
Yeah, and all these things. Oh, taking a bonk on the doorway there. Unfortunate, but not huge. You can see just, I think that LilAggy has just in general had a cleaner day Metro. The gap between them is noticeably smaller than it was as they came out of Night Metro. So also Dansta actually menuing a little bit too early there. So I had to close it and reopen it in order to warp away. This game does not let you warp unless you are touching the ground. So very important to kind of wait that extra millisecond just to set yourself up for that. And now we enter Snow Kingdom. And this is where the tides can really change, especially in a race this close. If either one of these runners does not execute Snowdram successfully on the first try, we could be seeing the tides of the race change dramatically. And I'd like to take this moment to remind you guys of our sponsor, Vi.gg. If you want to place bets on your favorite racers, that's where you need to go. So type !Beck in the chat to learn some more, or click the banner underneath the video. Of course, you must be of legal gaming age in your country in order to participate. But if you want to make a couple extra bucks on your favorite racers, that's the place to do it.
Oh, well, getting that roll boost on the ice thing. I think they will both go for Snowdram. We rarely see any high runner not going for it.
Yeah, usually once you reach a threshold of about 106, that's typically when runners start adding Snowdram, and then they never look back. It kind of is a part of every race or every run afterwards. So
yeah, the rest of Snow is really risky too, and It's, I would say, like nearly the slowest kingdom because there aren't really fast moons. 4 of them or so are fast, but mostly most of the moons are really slow.
Yeah. There are lots of fast moons in Snow Kingdom available post-peace, but unfortunately doing the Bound Bowl, of course, is really slow, so that option is not really available to us. So we're going to grab a couple of quick moons inside the town portion of Shiveria. These quick moons kind of just scattered about the town section. And then we enter 2 of these sub-areas, one of them being this kind of blowy joey, I suppose we call them, room. Dansta setting up a ground pound and actually missing the ground pound.
That was unfortunate. Getting that side flip.
Yeah, getting a backup rather clean. A LilAggy being able to pull off the spin pound on the top there. He's going to be setting himself up for a very... Oh, and I jinxed it, of course. Commentator's curse. I was going to say he was going to set himself up for the perfect cycle for the blowy joey, but of course the Spinies always getting in the way.
Yeah, Dansta, I don't know if it was intentionally, but he left one Spiny alive. That's a bit faster, but you need good RNG for it. But he missed it with his Cappy, so he lost time with it. Getting a good Goomba room entry though.
Yeah, it's very easy to bonk in that hallway, especially considering the angle that you kind of approach it from. In this room, not necessarily very difficult, I would say, anymore, but very stylish to kind of pull off because you have to gather all these Goombas, open up the wall, and then take an optimal bonk to grab the moon from underneath. And that's just so that you're closer to the ground, which kind of sets you up for this triple jump.
Okay, Dansta going for this triple jump, nailing it.
Yes, he's got it. Ooh, LilAggy going for the spin pound method there. Very scary wave trick, in my opinion, but definitely got some swag points for that one. Making the triple jump across the gorge just fine, and still just trailing Dansta by a tiny bit. Now, this is where Snowdram is going to come into play. Dansta is entering the shop now. This is the last moon he needs before warping back to the Odyssey to perform this very scary jump.
Oh. LilAggy taking a bonk there.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that shop sign myself. Tends to like to get in the way. Now Dansta warping to the Odyssey. He's going to be setting himself up for this snow painting jump here, or Snowdram. So he lines himself up here.
That could lose his lead if he messes it up.
Certainly.
But I don't think he will. Yeah. Oh! Oh my god!
Curse coming into play again.
Curse.
I don't. I almost feel like we shouldn't say anything here. I feel like we watch in awe. Okay, I am gonna say LilAggy did end up not getting the vault that he wanted there, so he's gonna have to set it up again. Both of these competitors setting up at the same time, throwing their caps. Dansta's got a little bit of a lead going into this one. Snowdram is successful for Dansta. Snowdram is he gets the vault. In fact, LilAggy getting the vault out of the Snowdram.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, that can sometimes happen just if you manage to land on your cap right as you're hitting the platform. So very kind of swaggy way to finish off this Snow Kingdom. LilAggy making up some time on Dansta's mistake there. This race is extremely close all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't really understand why Dansta missed it though, because it looked really good. He probably rainbow spin too early.
That's usually the culprit in my experience. But again, that is a very tight jump. The inputs are very precise, and you know any kind of mistake or misstep in that will cost you the jump, and you'll have to do it again. We're looking at about 20 seconds per attempt. So LilAggy would have taken a very solid lead there had he been able to get the proper vault off of the Odyssey the first try. So both of these runners having a little bit of trouble with Snowdram, but LilAggy's problems slightly less worse than Dansta's, so he is going to be making up some time as we enter Seaside.
So I think Commentator's curse is definitely a thing.
It has to be. I'm convinced. Even in matches that we've had so far where the races were pre-recorded and we were just commentating the results live. Somehow we were still managing to ruin it for everybody. So commentator's curse definitely living.
Dansta went for a better strat in this room, in the pipe room. Going for a spin pwned roll cancel and another spin pwned. Missed it though. He got a side flip.
Yeah, opting for some optimal strategies there. Actually taking a bonk, and just like that, LilAggy.
LilAggy having that lead again.
As we enter this notes portion, we're gonna see LilAggy. Oh no! He attempted the Rocket Flower refresh, but accidentally messed up his course. He's gonna have to go back here. This is part of the reason why I don't go for this in my own runs, because you know, any misstep, any missed note means that you have to go back and do the whole thing again. So Dansta did successfully get the Rocket Flower refresh, so he's going to be pulling ahead now, doing a spin throw to capture this cheap, and he's going to be reaching kind of the calm, tranquil portion of Seaside, just going to be swimming around with the fish to gather some moons, but definitely taking the lead here. LilAggy doing the backup strat here, using the Gushin to get over to this fish. This is the old method that we used to do. Probably loses about 1 to 2 seconds optimally to the Rocket Flower refresh method.
Yeah, but he probably lost like 10 or so.
Yep, that's the unfortunate situation there.
It's a really exciting race though.
Yeah, it seems that whenever LilAggy takes the lead in this race, he does something to just kind of throw off his momentum and give it right back to Dansta. But that's not to say that it is not still close.
Still great. Mistakes.
Oh my goodness, speaking of mistakes, Dansta rolling too far after the salt pile triple, and he is going to be taking a death. I've never actually seen that.
Oh my god.
So, Aggie, just like that, taking the lead. Dansta is going to be opting to not do triple, doing the backup here. Just like that, Aggie takes the lead after Seaside. So apologize for technical difficulties here. Oh my goodness, and both of these runners showing a little bit of spaghetti off here. Aggie taking some damage in the lava here. Gonna be refilling his damage with this moon, and all of a sudden this race is extremely close. We can see Dansta not having to do that, making the dive up this platform, and we're into the spirit fight, and all of a sudden, just like this, the race is extremely tight again.
Yeah.
It's amazing how quickly the tides can change. Now, this fight, very much like the one in Wooded, the only difference being the size of the arena, which of course doesn't really matter much in the speedrun scenario because we don't let him move anywhere anyways.
Yeah. Okay, LilAggy having 1.5 seconds or so of a lead. Probably 2.
It is unbelievably close.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen much like exact sync in this particular race yet, but it has changed hands dramatically over the course of the entire race. It's still way too close to call.
Yeah. This
Bring
could
this up here, yeah.
probably be the closest race so far.
Certainly.
Yeah, we don't know what happens in Bowser's and Moon though, or in the rest of.
Oh my goodness, so Dansta having a little bit of issues coming out of the sub area, burning his butt as he tries to leave, but LilAggy having some issues coming out of the sub area. Dansta also taking a more optimal approach to get up to this moon, so he's going to be getting it first, but he's also going to be refilling his damage meter.
They were actually synced, like capturing that fork, but LilAggy taking the less optimal strats.
Yeah, I think he actually was also taking damage, so he went over to the checkpoint in order to refill it. An interesting comparison there, because he did end up saving time. But he is behind now all of a sudden because Dansta is pulling off just a little bit more optimal movement in this Luncheon Kingdom.
And Aggie missing the long jump turnip grab.
Yep. And again, these little things are going to really start to add up, especially at this later stage of this race.
Okay, LilAggy is going for the camera manipulation to make the Podobo cycle a bit easier to reach. It's not the most optimal strat. Yeah, Dansta did the optimal strat, but that is like nearly frame perfect, in my opinion.
Have to be real quick. It's not entirely easy to do, but again, Dansta pulling out some of the more technical tricks and paying off for him in Luncheon Kingdom here. Oh, almost missed the up throw on that fork. That would have been disastrous because he just dove off the cliff, but luckily Cappy was smart enough to come back in the right direction and just save the race. The same thing happening to LilAggy here too. Oh my goodness, this is like on the edge of my seat in this forks room. Absolutely ridiculous. Both of them somehow managing to scrape that out. I cannot believe it. And we're out of the forks room, thankfully. Aggie actually taking some damage on the Podoboo as he captures it, but managing to make it up the lava, kind of waterfalls quickly here.
I think that refill animation though, both going for a turnip flip. Dansta got a good setup, I think. It looks. Yep. It looks like.
It looks all right. Gonna be trying to kill that Spiny. Actually, a little bit too far away. So he's going to have to reset it up, but Aggie's actually does look good. Oh, and Dansta actually killed his hammer brother. And all just like that, Dansta is going to be falling behind. LilAggy, perfect turnip setup, not wasting any time on this turnip clip, and that is going to put him in the lead.
I feel like he will lose something again. So there's synced again. That's happening all the time.
It is absolutely crazy how close this race has been this entire time. All right, lighting the lantern, spawning a moon, and then setting up a triple jump to get over the mount. Yeah, there's one little ground pound spot here.
LilAggy is definitely having more mistakes, but not that bad of mistakes. Like bonks or so, and Dansta is like not getting Snowdram and missing that turnip flip. So yeah, that is what makes the race kind of exciting.
Yeah, you can kind of see the contrast, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning. Dansta goes for some trickier strategies, and you know, sometimes doing the riskier thing can cause bigger time losses, where Aggie may be playing a little bit more consistently, a little bit safer in some places, and the mistakes that he's making are maybe like a bonk here or there, and not costing him quite as much time.
Yeah, there's like 7 seconds of lead for Aggie. Yeah, no, he's heading to Ruined Kingdom, which isn't a kingdom where you see mistakes often. So yeah, probably like 1 second mistakes or so, but no real mistakes which are that bad.
Of course, knocking on wood here, Commentators curse might come into play, but Ruined Kingdom, of course, is just a boss fight, essentially. Not really anything you can do to speed it up or slow it down. So just looking to essentially destroy the boss and then move on to Bowser's Kingdom. It's a little bit of a break period. Alright, now getting to this wire as fast as possible. Does look like LilAggy has about a 10-second lead. Dansta rolling up the stairs. The idea is to pull this pin as fast as possible so that you can kind of jet off to the Ruin boss fight. That's probably the only real optimal time save that you can make in Ruin Kingdom. The rest is up to this boss fight, which again is more or less an auto-scroller. He does the same thing every time.
Yeah. This is one of the few bosses we don't really have fast strats for, like making the defense phases faster, so we have that for almost every boss fight. Okay, we see Dansta going for the optimal strats, not getting it, because, yeah, Cappy not homing in on the sword.
Unfortunately so.
Yeah, that strat looks really stylish when you get it.
Yeah,
So
the idea there is that Cappy grabs the first sword and then you stand behind another one so that he grabs another back to you. But yeah, aside from fast tricks, that's maybe one of the only things that you can really do, and especially in the second and third phase, you can grab all three of those at the same time,
yeah,
which is pretty stylish.
Yeah, we saw him doing it here. Aggie not going for it, not that bad though. Still having the lead.
At the end of the day, we're not talking about very much time for doing this kind of strategy, so don't blame LilAggy for not going for it. It's a little bit more consistent, like I mentioned. That is kind of LilAggy's game. Hopefully he can continue that and not cause any big mistakes, and that is probably what's going to make him pull a victory out here. But of course, the little mistakes could add up, and if Dansta goes for some tricky things and lands them, then that would be the win for him as well. It's still way too close to tell.
Yeah, Bowser, especially as a king, where you can mess up some things, which can lose much time.
Yeah, Bowser's Kingdom consists of kind of chunks of very stylish platforming sections.
Yeah, especially the mech part is really sketchy. When you like not go for bird dram, you need to get that great moon, and the camera there is really weird after the moon. So yeah, you can easily fail there and bonk and fall into the void.
Not something you want to do.
Yeah.
And falling all the way down, not only is that a death warp zone where you die instantly, but you also have to fall all the way down into it. So
Yeah.
taking big bonks here can lose significant chunks of time, especially if you're not diligent about grabbing checkpoints along the way. That can put you back quite a ways. Even if like a bonk like that happens in the shards area, for example, and you don't manage to grab the checkpoint at the beginning of the shard section, it can send you all the way back to this point here where Aggie is, and that's not where you like to be. So Aggie's going to be approaching this first section first.
Yeah, obviously nobody is going for the bird dram stretch. Both are heading for the more optimal great moon. Doesn't save that much though. I think like 1 second. Okay, Dansta getting a good spin point here, saving a bit of time over Aggie.
Yeah, so killing the ogre a little bit faster, but also opting to do the initial wall jump in this section with a little bit of safety, throwing his cap, so maybe not really gaining or losing any time on Aggie here. And now we enter the second chunk of this Bowser's Kingdom, which is the shards portion. And approaching it here, we'll probably see these guys go for a triple jump. into a cap throw, getting the dive back, but actually Aggie missing the platform, unfortunately, and having to back it up. We'll see if Dansta is able to get it. Actually just opting for a little bit of a safer strategy there.
Yeah, that back is really tricky. I never get it.
Yeah,
When
the
I
spacing
sometimes
on it,
try it.
the spacing is extremely close, so I don't blame anybody for not being able to pull it off, especially in a race setting.
Oh no, Dansta accidentally recapturing the Pokio. I know that there is a camera minute where you put the camera at a specific point. I don't know what it does though.
Essentially what you're looking to do there is you're setting yourself for a dive back. After you've captured the shard, you point Mario back towards the moon spawn point, and then you point the camera in a certain way, and it just makes the angle of the camera easier. Now, LilAggy approaching this moon with the kind of older intended method here, doing a spin pound off the stairs. Dansta following suit. We're not going to be seeing any sort of Bowser Dram ideas from either of these guys. Probably the safer of the two options, the one that's going to be more consistent. Dansta actually taking a burn here. It would be smart for him to grab a checkpoint along the way, which he's going to do before he moves on to these brutal fights. Now, LilAggy opting for Harriet first. And we see Dansta following suit as well. Neither of these guys in the Topper First gang. Apologies to Chaos Pringle and his gang of baddies for choosing such a method. Harriet first, Topper first, doesn't really matter in any percent. Not going to be causing any time loss or time gains. Just a matter of personal preference.
There is this first person strat which is really hard. Saves about 0.5 or so, I would say, per hit. Yeah, that is really precise.
Yeah, some people like to opt for Topper first because it offers you the opportunity to heal in between the fights by using the nearby checkpoint. Some people like to do Topper first just because they like to do Topper first. But at the end of the day, not really going to be making much of a difference here. LilAggy getting both of the jumps on the hats very fast.
I personally
fight.
don't like Harriet. The boss fight is really not fun. But I will stop talking about her because last time I did, I accidentally swore, and we don't like to see that on a family-friendly channel.
Yes, indeed. Gotta keep it safe for the kids, you know.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, sometimes you don't choose Topper first chooses you, I suppose. It is a lifestyle and not a choice. But now that these brutals are done, neither of these guys had any problems with them at all. We are going to be running through to the final portion now. Like we said, no bird dram strategies at the beginning of Bowser's Kingdom, which means that these guys are both going to have to come around the corner, break these crates open, and grab this moon hiding in behind, underneath the corridor. LilAggy having no troubles with the triple jump. Dansta following suit. Breaking the crates on the left side means that he's going to have to run around, which is not a big deal. But now LilAggy also making the scary jump with the camera not really working in your favor. He's going to be making that jump just fine. Dansta also following suit. And now they just use these Pokios to climb up the wall and into the Robo Brutal section. And this is where things can change.
Yeah, that can really change the leads again. Maybe if they fall off. We don't really see that often from from top runners, but it can still happen.
Certainly can. And, you know, a problem like that would definitely change the pace of this race. LilAggy getting the first hit, setting himself up for the Goryuya method, the spin pound method, grabbing the second bunny just fine. Dansta doing his climb now, getting the first hit, and he's going to be setting up the same way.
I think he will be going for Harriet third. He usually does go for it. I don't know about LilAggy.
Yep. LilAggy looks like he's going to be setting himself up for Harriet last, which is probably the more consistent method. But he's actually going to be taking a drop off.
Commentators curse. Oh
again, it happens again.
Yeah, Dansta going for Harriet third. Missing Harriet though. Not as bad as falling down though.
Okay, So he did indeed get Harry at third. And he's going to be setting up for the final Spirit hit, and he's going to get it. Now LilAggy just has to kind of survive, get on top of the Robo-Brood, and get the final hit. So, you know, falling behind all of a sudden, and just like that, the tides of the race have changed. You know, I said that Harry at third was really the more dangerous and more risky strat, and here we see Dansta not having really as many problems with it as Aggie is with Harry at fourth. So all of a sudden this race is extremely close. It just changed in Dansta's favor, but now we're going to be entering the Moon Kingdom about 5 seconds apart. And this is incredible. Probably the closest race of this tournament thus far as we enter the Moon Kingdom. And now this is another kingdom where, you know, big mistakes can happen. Anything can really go wrong. If you do not do the Moon Cave skip well, then you can potentially die. You could be sent back to the beginning, or you'll have to set it up again. We've already seen in GSA races before the race being decided by the Moon Cave skip. So if anybody takes a little bit of extra setup time to make this happen, then that could be the deciding factor here. And, you know, as far as the escape goes, it could come down to pillars even. There's so many things about the Moon Kingdom that could really set the tide of this race. We still just have to see who is going to come out on top.
Yeah, so as I said, that is probably the closest race so far in this tournament.
Yeah, I would agree. Nothing quite this close so far. But, you know, as the tournament tightens up, as we approach the end, well, I mean, we're still only in round 2, so there's still plenty of action to happen yet. But as we move closer to the end, we are going to be seeing some very tight matchups coming our way. So Dansta, the first one to set out in Moon Kingdom, he's going to be setting himself up for a triple jump vector across the gap.
Getting a really good vector.
Yep. He's going to be landing and not having to take a dive, which...
Okay, LilAggy having a good vector, but he didn't get a really good triple jump position.
Making it past the Moon Snake, though, just fine. Dansta actually missing the flower.
Yeah, that's not that big of a deal, but it's still not that great.
LilAggy throwing his cap to save himself there, almost actually took a bonk trying to get over the gorge there. I've never actually seen that happen. Usually you have enough speed. Dansta not messing up the Moon Cave skip here. LilAggy's setup looks good as well.
Dansta had a bit of trouble setting it up because he landed like on the very back of the Sphinx where you don't get enough height, but it's fine. You got everything. Crushing that door. Entering the Bowser fights, which can change things again.
Yep. The second phase in particular, even if you do it right, sometimes it doesn't work the way you want it to. So if something like that were to happen to Dansta, then LilAggy would be coming back here, I think, as well. So the first phase going well for Dansta, able to get the punches off all right here. Now the second setup here.
Getting that second considered worst phase, or the LilAggy getting it too.
Perfect. Now third phase, not such a big deal, so we can probably bet on these guys being able to finish off this fight. And speaking of bets, we would like to remind you of our sponsor, Vi.GG, where you can place your bets on your favorite racers. This one, of course, being a very tight one. If anybody has any money on this, I'm sure you are on the edge of your seat right now. But you can go to Vi.GG by typing !bet or by clicking the banner on the bottom of the video feed. Now, you know, I'm actually really happy I didn't put money on this because I would be sweating right now. It's so close.
Who would you bet on?
Oh, who would I bet on at the beginning? I would probably put my money on just because of the PB, but you know, it is too close to tell. And LilAggy can still pull this out now. We're entering the escape sequence, actually missing the cap throw and pausing early. Going to be losing himself a couple of seconds there. Now we'll have to see how this 2D section goes. Because if anybody misses the 2D skip, it'll be over for them.
Yeah, that is another thing which could change the race. And in his previous PB, Dansta lost a lot of time to pillars, so that could happen too, and could give Aggie the lead again. I don't think that will happen though. Like, he's probably like 15 seconds ahead.
Yeah, it looks like about 10 seconds of difference here. Dansta looks like he's approaching this 2D section with a little bit of caution. Did get the 2D skip, but set it up a little bit slower. LilAggy blazing through this 2D section with no issues at all. Going to be making up maybe a second's worth of time just from that 2D section alone. But Dansta is approaching the pillar room first. He's going to be busting through this wall and into this final room. Now, this honestly is such a close race, it could come down to pillars. LilAggy actually taking damage before opening up the wall. But
Okay,
if Dansta's fireballs are not very clean, which they are not.
Oh my god, Commentators curse.
Like I said, yeah. So if LilAggy is able to land these shots and get the first pillar,
He got it, I think.
it does look. I think he got it.
Oh.
Oh no, it's still standing, but he's going to be going for like the YOLO, the throwback. If he's able to break it,
Oh, I think like the screen shook a bit. He probably got it.
he didn't get it. Okay. So he's going to have to run and finish off this pillar, and then the last one. Dansta actually finished all of his pillars. He's on the final platform, busting open the final rock. He is going to be coming out with the victory here. An extremely close race, though, between these guys. Down to the wire. Literally down to the wire. LilAggy just entering the wire as Dansta shoots out of it. A 104.09 from Dansta and a 104.18 from LilAggy. What a ridiculously close race. I was on the edge of my seat this entire
Oh my
time.
god, I'm shaking.
And with us here, we have the winner of this race, Dansta.
And
You know,
LilAggy.
this was an extremely exciting race to watch. We saw the lead change back and forth dramatically over the course of this entire race now. You know, it really did come down to the wire. Dansta, how do you feel about this race? What was going through your head throughout this race?
Like, it was like always that close that I was
Yeah,
shaking
that
the whole race, not only the beginning. It was the whole race. And after I failed like the stupid luncheon thing where I died, I don't know what happened there. That's been happening to me one time today in practice, and I thought like this can't happen in the race, and it did. And from there on, I thought actually I lost.
yeah. We
Yep.
cursed the run a bit.
Commentators
So, yeah,
curse playing a very large role in the race.
Yeah.
Basically, if we said, oh yeah, you know, this could really mess up X, this could really mess up Aggie, this could really mess up Dansta here. It usually happened. You know, we were talking about Metro not being a very prominent place for big time losses. It was usually small ones, and then Aggie got probably the worst pattern I've ever seen on the Wiggler. So Aggie, tell me a little bit about that.
It wasn't cool. That's all I have to really say about that one. I thought I was keeping my cool pretty okay. Sand is a little shaky, but nothing too terrible. So anyway, okay. But yeah, so I thought I was running my race fine, and then yeah, that Wiggler pattern was atrocious. I don't even think there was anything I could have possibly done about that, and that kind of threw me off my game. And then, but like, you know, I kind of just tried to stay focused, and then I guess Dansta missed a snowdram attempt, and it kind of evened it back out.
Yeah.
Is that what happened? Yeah. And at that point, like, I wasn't watching the stream, but I was watching chat. So like at that point,
I was
like,
watching the stream. All the time.
I just lost it because like it was so ridiculous at that point because like we were both clearly like not totally on top of our game, and it was just kind of like, well, who's gonna make the big mistake that finally decides this?
How did you feel about that mecha rule?
I was a little upset because my like trigger just like didn't ground pound at first, and I missed it because of it. Kind of like how my trigger just didn't ground pound in Rocket Fly Refresh, and I just didn't get it. So I was definitely a little frustrated. I felt like I was fighting my controller a lot towards the end. I don't know if it was just nerves and I wasn't, you know, pressing the buttons too good or not, but it was definitely frustrating.
Yeah, and it really did end up coming down to that rude fight at the end. An extremely close race between you guys. So Dansta will be moving on in the winners bracket. Currently undetermined opponent, because this is the first round of round 2, of course. LilAggy, unfortunately, moving down to the losers bracket, but not out of this tournament yet. Both of your opponents will be decided upcoming here. So GG's to both of you guys. We are going to be moving into an intermission and on to some Super Mario 64 70-star tournament action coming your way. Stay tuned, everybody. Thanks for joining us.